Alright. Hi everyone. Today I thought that I would try my first ever go at a sketch with me type video. I put a thing on my Instagram stories asking for questions for those of you who saw it. Okay, I got a lot of questions, so thank you everyone who sent in topics because I'm not original to think of things to talk about myself. Okay, so starting from the bottom, let's go. So the first question is, I asked give me some topics or some questions or just something that I can talk about to myself while I draw. And someone said maybe talk about recently enjoyed programs. That was badly worded by me, that wasn't their fault. Lockdown's been so long, it's crazy to think back on what I've actually watched while we've been stuck inside. Like, I watched Tiger King while we were in lockdown. That was so long ago. It's crazy. Me and Piper watched Tiger King. It wasn't right when it first came out, so the hype had kind of already died down by then, but we kept seeing all the Carole Baskin memes. So, we eventually caved and watched it. But yeah, I've been watching Drag Race. I also watched all of New Girl for the first time while we were in lockdown. Obviously, we watched all of Avatar. It wasn't my first time watching it, but I didn't watch it as a kid. But I love it. I love the show so much. I still need to watch Korra. I haven't done so yet, but I will. What else did I watch? I watched all of Brooklyn Nine-Nine like 5 times, but who didn't? And yeah, recently since I've been alone in the house, I've just been picking random films to watch, and it happened like 3 times, but I was watching a film and it seemed pretty normal, and then some weird shit happened, and then I was like, what's going on? And then at the end it said based on a novel by Stephen King, and I was like, oh, okay, that's what happened. Okay. And that happened like 3 times. I got bamboozled by Stephen King 3 times. God damn it. And I hate that I kind of enjoyed the films as well. They were pretty good. I watched Christine, about the killer car, and The Green Mile, which was weird as shit, but Tom Hanks was in it, so kind of got all of it. I forget what the other one was, but there was another one in there somewhere. Okay, so someone else asked, how did you start your shop? I originally started selling stuff online when I did a fundraiser in 2017. It was the whole year, and I did a drawing every single day for the entire year, and then I sold the originals, and then obviously donated all of the profits. I made like $2,500 from it, I think, which isn't much considering the amount of time. Like, I couldn't make that into a job, but it was a nice thing to donate, and I enjoyed doing it, and it was definitely a challenge. So I originally started selling those pieces on Ticktail when that was still a thing, but not recently, a few years ago Ticktail shut down, so I moved. In a way that was kind of a good thing because it gave me a kick up the ass to make some new stuff and start selling out on Etsy. And that's where I am still selling stuff. So there's a link to it in the description if you'd like to see what kind of stuff I sell, but it's like prints, stickers. I'm going to work on some badge designs because I got a badge maker and I'm very excited about that. I don't know why it's a thing that I always have to make stuff in series, but I just enjoy making a set of something. So I've been brainstorming some ideas for like a Zodiac series of pins, so then you can, I just like the idea that you can pick which one you are, like tag yourself kind of thing. I don't know, I personally enjoy that kind of thing when I buy stuff from other people, so I thought someone else has got to enjoy it as well, hopefully. So yeah, that's how I started my shop. Someone else asked, I feel like I have to pronounce asked really forcefully because when I say it lazily it sounds like asked. And I'm not talking about butts right now, so that's not very useful. Someone else asked, with a K, how was the moving out process? As I said before, recently moved to Manchester. It was, in terms of like physically moving our stuff, it wasn't too bad. Like we packed up all our stuff in a pretty good time. My mum got a van to help us move. We got here really early. We got here before the guy could let us into the flat, so we were just waiting outside for ages. But we got it. We managed to get into the building, and then we moved all of the stuff right outside the flat until he got there. We only had to wait for like half an hour after we'd moved everything, but we were very fast and very speedy, and pretty low drama. We went to IKEA, and that wasn't as much of a success because they were out of everything, so I didn't have a desk until yesterday. Physically, it went good, but it was a bit of a shock when we realised that we had moved and we didn't really know what to do with ourselves. It didn't help that there was a heat wave when we moved in, and the way that our flat is positioned is it gets the sun really intensely, so it was like a sauna in here. And the house was all messy, obviously, because we were busy packing stuff away. And we'd moved to a new city. We realised that we had to get jobs, and we had more bills now. And so yeah, we kind of had a few breakdowns over that. If you're an avid fan of either Piper or me, we talked about it a lot in the podcast that we have. If you didn't know we had a podcast, it's called bingeinking. It's just me and Piper talk about shit that no one really cares about, but for some reason people listen, and thank you so much. But I'll link that down in the description as well, because it's a jolly old time. But yeah, it was incredibly emotionally draining, but physically the move went alright. We're settled. It's fine. Okay, so the next person asked what was my favourite year of school, including uni, and why. So I think my favourite year of school was probably second year of uni, just because I'd gotten to the point where I kind of knew everyone and I had a social life. And we went on a few trips, it was fun. I knew everyone, I knew what work we were doing. Second year was incredibly tough work-wise, because there was some issues with the organisation, and we had a lot of overlapping projects that were really intense. But honestly, I kind of loved it. Like, I love getting into something and doing a lot of hard work and having it pay off. And the film that me and my teammates made has gotten into a lot of festivals since then. And it got nominated for an RTS award for some reason. It was the stupidest film. It was just a really stupid film, but it got nominated for this really prestigious award. Didn't get it because Piper won. But it was, second year was probably best for me. It would have been the last year because I was like even more out of my shell. We went on a lot of fun trips. We went to Brussels. It was cool, but then everything got fucked up by Rona, so I can't really say it was my favourite year. Okay, someone asked me if I play D&D. The answer is no. I had the opportunity to, but then I kind of got intimidated because everyone knew what they were doing a lot more than me. So I didn't join the group. Oops. But I would like to play it. I would just like to play it with like a chill group of people who don't care that I don't know what I'm doing. No, someone else asked me how I started to post my art on social media. Again, the answer was kind of the same to the how did I start selling stuff. It all started with that fundraiser that I did. If you scroll back far enough on my Instagram, you can see them. They're not great, but it's my humble beginnings, going back to my roots. It's nice to see how far I've come. So someone else asked me, Jaffa cakes, are they a cake or are they biscuit? I don't eat Jaffa cakes, so you will kind of have to answer that one, but I can tell you what the difference between a cake and a biscuit is. So cake when it goes stale, it goes hard, and when a biscuit goes stale, it goes soft. So I don't eat Jaffa cakes, so I don't know what they're like when they go off. I don't know. You tell me, when a Jaffa cake goes off, does it go hard or soft? Okay, someone said, please talk about inking. It was a very broad statement / question. It's not really a question. I don't know, what would you like to know about inking? If you let me know what you'd like to know, then I can make a whole video dedicated to it instead of just a passing comment. Someone asked me what my favourite colours are and why. Now, I can answer this in a number of ways. Because, like, favourite colours to draw with, my personal favourite colours, the colours that I wear a lot, I'm gonna say my favourite colour is purple, because it's very versatile. It's, I like the history of purple, because purple was used for royalty, and only rich people could afford to buy it because the pigment to make purple was so rare. Obviously they have more chemically made pigments now, but back when you just got pigments from nature, I forget how they got the purple pigment, but I know that it was very hard to come by and therefore very expensive. It also is a colour that shouldn't really exist, because if you think about the visible light spectrum, red and blue are on the opposite ends of the spectrum, and purple is a mix of the two. So in a weird way of thinking, it shouldn't really exist, and it does. And I admire its tenacity. I admire its willingness to exist, if that's even a thing. I also like teal. Teal's a fun colour. I like it in every sense of the word, it's just nice. I'm a very basic bitch, I realise that, because everyone likes teal. I think my favourite colour schemes to draw with are teal and pink. I just really like the combination. Also, I'm sorry if my sketchbook is squeaking. Okay, someone said, talk about moving cities and the anxiety that comes with it, if you feel comfortable with sharing. It's very nice of you. I've already mentioned it a bit, but it's stressful to say the least. It's on the first day that me and Piper were here, honestly, when we were unpacking, I had a breakdown, that was fun. And then we both just had like a panic attack for the rest of the day, which was like 6 hours. So we just spent the day crying and unpacking and then sitting down and crying. It was a day. I learned what a panic attack was, because I'd had them before, but I didn't realise that's what it was. Honestly, it made me feel a lot better to leave the house, because I just got to see how cool the city I moved to was and why I moved there. And I think part of that reason, again, was because of the heat wave and because the house was untidy, so it was just unpleasant to be in the house, and it was kind of daunting to think that, like, this was home now, and I had to deal with it. And that all got better when I put everything away and I got my desk set up and I got my room clean and organised the way I want it to. I felt so much better. It's difficult to find the motivation to put everything away when you're feeling like that, even though you know that once you do put it away, you're gonna feel better for it. So it's just it's a tough line to walk. It's all temporary, it all goes away. And now I am doing good. I went for a little explore this morning, as I mentioned. Okay, someone else said, what future projects do you have now that you finished uni and a dream career? So, I would really like to work on films, animated films, and eventually I would like to direct one of my own. Ideally feature films, but short films would be cool as well. Yeah, so I would like to direct a feature. That's definitely on my bucket list. Like, even if it's just, I don't know, a really small team that I put together and kind of cobble it together at home, it would still be nice to just have a film to be like, yeah, that's my film. For other projects, I have a lot of small things that I want to do, mainly for my shop and to sell at cons once they restart. Like I said, I've got my whole badge thing lined up. I've got the zodiac ones. I've got some gender, like the gender pride flags. I've made some coloured little floral vectors out of them that I'm going to make into badges and maybe stickers. It's going to be fun. And I have a comic idea, as I always do, because I never follow through. I don't know, there's probably more, but that's it for now. I have a job lined up in September, but until then I'm just trying to get some freelance work, and I'm doing a lot of commissions. So if you would like a commission, you can email me or message me through Instagram, and I will respond to you as quickly as I can. Someone said, struggling with wanting to reach a certain art style while also accepting your own style, and I completely understand this. I think like 2 years ago I went through a very deliberate shift in style because I wasn't happy with the way that I was drawing, and I wanted to draw like all these artists that I look up to. I will say that's one, you shouldn't do that because they've worked hard to develop that style on their own, and it shouldn't just be stolen like word for word, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I would say definitely use them as inspiration, but you need to pick and choose your favourite bits of all of your inspiration artists' style, and then kind of collage them together to make your own. So like maybe like the way that one guy draws noses and you like the eyes from a different one, and then once you draw them they'll be slightly different as well because they're your drawings and not their drawings. And I would just say you really have to analyse your drawings and break it down into what bits you specifically don't like, and while you're doing that you have to point out the stuff that you do like, because it's important to kind of give yourself a boost and be like, okay, I've got this sorted but I'm not happy with this. Like, when I went through my whole style shift, I think I was very happy with the way that I drew eyes, I think, for example. So then I focused on how other people draw noses, and then I drew some noses. It's... Over time, that's kind of evolved, so I've changed the style of eyes that I draw again. I've changed the face shape and the body proportions to make it more cartoony, but I like that. I've also changed the way that I colour. That wasn't based on anyone's style, that was just based on trial and error, basically. Trial and error is a big thing when you're trying to develop a style. And you never have to accept that the way that you draw is the way that you draw. If you're not happy with the way you draw, change it. That's always an option, you know? If you're not happy with something, change it, and eventually you will find something that you are happy with. But as I said, it's important to see how far you've come when you're doing these things, so that otherwise you're just going to get discouraged and you're not going to want to finish this journey that you're on. Okay, someone asked me for my favourite podcasts, and probably because we have our own podcast, if I didn't mention before, at bingeinking, link in the description. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of And That's Why We Drink recently, just because Piper got me into it, and I like it very much. It's a weird, I don't mean to sound narcissistic, but Christine and Em kind of feel like an alternate universe of me and Piper. Just because like Piper's really into wine, she's definitely Christine, and like me and Em are both not cis, I guess, and it's just, I don't know, it was kind of weird, the similarities between us. Also, me and Em have the same birth name, which is weird, and kind of cool. I also listen to the TMG podcast every now and then, mainly because the episodes are long and it's nice to just switch on and kind of zone out while you're doing some work. It's and they just make dick jokes for like an hour and a half. It's a good old time. I also listen to No Such Thing as a Fish, which is a podcast by the researchers of QI, and then me Piper and Shasha went to see them live at one point. That was fun. My dad wrote a porno, obviously. I think that's one of my favourites. I just haven't listened to it in a while because I'm all caught up. And I miss Belinda. I also listened to a couple episodes of Simply Neological's podcast. Again, mainly because Piper put it on, but I found that quite enjoyable. I can't say I've gone back to it, but it was still enjoyable. And I might go back to it when all my other podcasts finish. What else do I listen to? Oh, I listen to The Illusionist with an A. It's just a girl who talks about the etymology of different words, and I just find it very interesting. I'm a boring person. But yeah, it's fun. She had an episode called Detonating the C-Bomb, and it was all about swearing, so you can assume what the C stands for, and I played that for pretty much everyone I know who doesn't listen to the podcast, and they all just cried laughing. It's the best episode I've listened to so far. It's very fun. I don't know, man. You got any recommendations for me? Although it does sound like I've got quite a lot lined up. I don't know. You choose. I can't choose. Okay. Someone asked me what I like to draw the most. I think the thing that I draw most often are plants. Mainly because I just add them to like every drawing that I'm doing. Let's try to stylize this funky tree a little bit. Yeah, I just add plants to like every drawing, even if it doesn't need them. I'm like, oh, add some leaves, it'll look nice. So yeah, I draw plants a lot, and I enjoy it very much. Wow, I made a new word. I enjoy drawing like really bold flowers, so ones with really big chunky petals like peonies or roses or chrysanthemums. Chrysanthemums. You know what I mean. Those are fun. I'm working on a series of them now, like I mentioned before, with like the gender pride flags. They're all going to be chunky flowers. So yeah, chunky flowers are fun to draw. I don't know what else I draw. I draw a lot of swords recently. And I like drawing characters. I made a Pride Month series of are gonna be prints. They're not prints yet because I don't have the money to make prints at the moment. But it was a series of lady knights trying to woo the princess, and that was very fun. I enjoyed kind of thinking up a backstory for each one and telling the story through the picture. That's always good. But then a lot of people ask me for the backstories, and I'm like, she was in a fight. I don't know. I hadn't thought that far ahead. Sword ladies are very much up there. I enjoy drawing them a lot, as you can tell from my Instagram recently. Okay, someone asked me something that is kind of relevant to this video. Or kind of relevant to what I'm drawing even. Someone asked me for tips on drawing landscapes and achieving perspective. As you can see what I've done here, you always need a vanishing point when you do perspective. So even though the vanishing point would be off the page, say like here, all the lines go into that vanishing point, and that's how you get basic perspective. And then 2-point perspective is you have like a vanishing point here and then another one here, and then you draw out the lines, and that would be all the lines going this way would have to be going towards this vanishing point. I'm planning to do a whole video on perspective, but that's kind of the basic rule that I tend to use. It's useful. Okay, someone asked me how I choose my colour schemes. Again, going back to my favourite colours, it tends to be based around pink and purple tones. Just because pink is and purple, they're both really good for shading, but still making the picture very highly saturated. And I love pieces so bright it'll burn out your retinas. That's how I pick my colour schemes. Which one can blind my audience the fastest? Piper has a very useful book that I've mentioned before on the podcast and also probably on this channel. It just has a load of set colour palettes, and I use that a lot. I steal her book a lot. It's on the shared bookshelf, I'm allowed. But I do tend to change the values just depending on what I'm doing. Because it's a good starting point, I would say, but I don't always stick to the given colour palettes strictly. It's more of a guide. I think my go-to colour palettes are either just warm tones as one palette, cold tones as another palette, and the primary colours. And then I just kind of work off of those and change them depending on what I need them to do in that particular piece. Okay, so I think I'm going to do one more question because I've been filming for almost an hour now. And I don't want to edit this video too much, so I'm going to try to keep it not too much longer. A lot of people are asking about my sexuality. As gay, alright? There you go. You wanted to hear it? Again, I use gay as an umbrella term. Please, nobody come after me. I don't know what I am, okay? Ooh, an art account I'd like to collab with. I don't really know how art accounts collab. Like, I've seen a few where they do, back-to-back draw this in your styles, which would be kind of cool. But I don't really know how you collab on something. Is it just like a bigger project or like an animation? I don't know. I'd like to collab with a lot of people if it just means... I mean, I'd like to be friends with a lot of people just because they have really cool stuff and I want to know what they're like, you know? I can tell you what art accounts I find particularly inspiring. If I remember the names of everyone. I really like Lana J. She's very cool. She's one of the people who made me want to change my style way back when. I really like the way that she drew eyes, so I kind of included that in my own pieces. I've kind of moved on and changed again now though, but it was she was definitely a point of reference when I wasn't happy with what I was making. I wanted to make stuff that was more like hers. And I still think that the colour palette she uses is really just gorgeous. They make it look so sunny and warm and I just want to like rub my face in it. It's so good. I also really like Jerome Vogel because of the way that he draws bodies. They make him look so bendy and I just want to know how he does it. I really like Alba it's Alba BBGG. She draws a lot of sword ladies and I really like the anatomy that she uses and the way that she draws faces is just really unique. And I also like Libby Frame. She is one of the more recent inspirations that I found, and again, I really like the way that she drew face shapes. So she's definitely been a more recent inspiration for me, but I like her a lot. So there we go. I'm sorry that the sketches I did through this are very rough, but I just really like drawing some rough landscapes every now and then. I might turn this into a more refined illustration at some point, just because I think it's really cool. Also this, It just looks like it's like a little greenhouse that was sandwiched between two really big buildings. And then I just drew this at the end. I really like the shadows I did in this though. Yeah, so that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed this, my first attempt at a sketch with me. I will definitely be drawing characters next time because it seems like a lot of people wanted to see that in the first place. I just didn't read the questions in time. Oops. But yeah. Let me know what other kind of videos you like to see, and links to everything down in the description that I've mentioned during this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.